Guys, I am so happy to announce today's sponsor, who's probably a company you've already heard of, Displate. Displate offers unique metal posters that you can mount to your wall in just 20 seconds. No power tools needed. It is high quality art that is being hung up magnetically with their easy and safe magnet mounting system. Now, what's even better than that is the thousands and thousands of designs you can choose from. I got completely lost in the artwork on this website. Whether it's something Destiny related, Star Wars, Zelda, anime. Oh, the anime, man. I had to get this one right here. Straight out of Chainsaw Man. Literally just search in the search bar, guys, and I guarantee you will find something that you're looking for. Now, all displays are manufactured in Europe, and they make sure that your order reaches you within 4 to 5 business days. Now, the reason why Displate is such a fantastic option, especially in comparison to standard paper or even canvas printing, is because that metal poster and the magnetic mounting allows you to never have to worry about leveling. You don't have to drill holes in your walls. And if you got kids like me who likes to put their hands literally on everything, that's all right. Literally just take it back off the wall, clean it up, and put it back on. Guys, if you're interested in trying out Displate today, down below in the description, you can use our link or you can use code Aztecross, which will allow you to access our special promo applicable on all designs. This will give you 20% off your order for 1 to 2 displays and 30% off on your order for 3 or more. Guys, I can't recommend Displate enough. I am in love with the product. I actually have a wall here in my office right now I'm currently working on. This thing is going to be covered by all displays, from my favorite games to some of my favorite movies, my favorite shows. I can't wait to have it all here. Have you been in the middle of going flawless? Perhaps you're on the final game. Maybe you just downed Crota, and just a few more hits, you will have completed the raid. Then suddenly, you are error coded. Now, if you're lucky, you're able to get back into that activity. But a lot of us have just been getting kicked from the game left and right. Guys, today we're going to be talking about what is happening with Destiny, which is a lot bigger than what you may think. Originally, everyone just thought this was just normal Destiny hiccups. But after getting error coded and sent to orbit or kicked out of the game to be thrown back into a queue over and over again, it's very apparent, guys, that this is a much bigger problem. Now, the reason why we have very little information on this is because Bungie themselves have been pretty tight-lipped. They had a tweet on September the 19th stating that over the past couple of days, we have seen a spike in error codes and disconnects. The team has confirmed that these error codes are not related to the planned fixes rolling out for the recent crafting issue and are instead a result of a DDoS attack. While we typically don't confirm these type of attacks and do not plan to in the future for general game security reasons, we believe it's the right thing to do for our players to communicate the added pressure to our systems given recent circumstances. We want to thank our players for their patience and as our teams work swiftly to ensure the integrity of the game and continue to implement our roadmap for future stability improvements. Now, personally, guys, when I saw these error codes going out, I just thought it had something to do with the crafting. I mean, we literally were breaking the game just a few weekends ago, taking entire archetypes, merging it with others, taking exotic perks and putting it on legendary weapons. I was under the assumption that the reason why we were getting Weasel, Anteater, Current Centipedes, Cabbage, Coconut, all those crazy error codes was because it had something to do with the crafting bug. But notice, guys, that those error codes are all network connection issue error codes, meaning that this DDoS attack is not something that Bungie is making up. To take this a step further, there is actually a Twitch stream by Cbro where you can see the ups and downs of these DDoS attacks happening. What's so crazy is that players are actively using this to then try to tell the best times to then attempt to play Destiny. This is like the equivalent of waking up and checking the weather. I mean, like, okay, we've got some light DDoS attacks this afternoon, but should clear up by 3 p.m. and then we can game. That's ridiculous. Now, this isn't the first time Bungie has had networking issues. The year of Witch Queen was plagued with networking issues and overall instability. We even made a video on this. We even dove into the engine that Destiny runs on, which for my folks still saying that Bungie needs to upgrade their engine, I really want you to check that video out. It gives you some insights into what creating an engine really takes. With that being said though, if you have been frustrated this past year since the launch of Lightfall, I completely understand. Lightfall brought with it bad connections, networking issues. We literally thought our servers were on fire. And in the previous swab, these issues were addressed with steps laid out for how Bungie was going to address all these problems. And since that TWAB, for the most part, networking and connection issues have been good. And for my folks ask, what the hell is a TWAB? That is the blog post that Bungie used to call This Week at Bungie. It's now called This Week in Destiny. We still call it a TWAB. Regardless though, since then, things have actually been pretty good. Until here recently. Everything actually started on September 5th with the crafting glitch being discovered. Server issues actually started shortly after. Again, most of us assumed that this bug was just so bad that it was causing issues within the game itself. But those issues have been essentially fixed with a patch on Thursday last week. But surprisingly, the disconnects have gone up. So it has nothing to do with the crafting. And the reason why we're covering this is that the game became so broken early Sunday morning that enemies wouldn't even shoot back or take damage. You had doors that wouldn't open, encounters that wouldn't even begin, enemies that couldn't even see you. This is like the equivalent of pulling the Ethernet cord on Crota. Now this may seem like a bad DDoS attack, but keep in mind guys, it can get a lot worse. Back in 2011, PlayStation Network was offline for nearly a month due to cybersecurity and DDoS attacks. Fast forward to 2014, Christmas. Many of us just got PlayStation 4s or Xbox Ones as they were the new generation consoles at the time. We had some downtime for Christmas, and man, I was so ready to just game my life away. Until everything started getting DDoS attacked by a squad called Lizard Squad. Yeah, y'all remember these peachy folks? Literally killed gaming for all of us during the holidays. Now, an article at the time from Jason Schreier regarding DDoS attacks in 2014, and essentially he stated why they are so difficult to stop. And you can imagine that some of this still applies today. With a quote in that article, it's tremendously easy. Anybody can afford it, anybody can do it. Which takes us to Destiny. When asked the question, what steps can Bungie take to help further protect their servers from DDoS attacks, and what the process looks like on dealing with them when they happen, and if and why dedicated servers would or wouldn't help solve this issue. The Destiny Show actually tweeted this out. With the recent DDoS issues in Destiny 2, I can't help but wonder if dedicated servers would allow Bungie to better protect servers from disconnects. If so, I believe the investment would be well worth it, while certainly not being the easiest or cheapest fix. I hope it gets better. Now, there's a number of tweets that followed up after this, but we wanted to reach out to someone directly, someone who might have some knowledge and experience in this area. We actually contacted a network engineer who has actually dealt with cybersecurity issues as well as DDoSing in the past, and he provided us some insight on his end. When we asked him what steps could Bungie take to help further protect their servers from DDoS attacks and what that process would look like, this was the follow-up message here from Bobby. To protect against DDoS attacks, a lot of companies use a zero trust approach where they should not trust anyone inside or outside of their network. You have to assume every network is hostile. Every device, user, and network needs to be authenticated and authorized. IP addresses are verified to make sure they are not already an identified DDoS attacker. When a user attempts to connect, the network needs to validate that the user's network traffic fits the acceptable behavior limits of the server and that they do not exhibit the patterns of a DDoS attack. Additionally, some companies also employ the use of VPN services. When speaking with the network engineer we talked to, they mentioned a few other points that can help mitigate DDoS attacks, such as dedicated and hardened ingress and egress firewall points. Now, I know those two things sound the same, but they're not. Ingress filtering is a method used to prevent suspicious traffic from entering a network. When configured on an edge device, such as a router or firewall, ingress filtering examines all inbound packets and will allow or deny entry to the network based on information in the packet header. Egress filtering is the practice of monitoring and potentially restricting the flow of information outbound from one network to another. Now, he also mentions having a second redundant ISP to help balance traffic with the ability to cut off one of the ISPs in the event a DDoS attack is identified. That way, they can cut off the attack and maintain network access through their other ISP. Now, certain ISPs may also provide real-time DDoS mitigation if Bungie does not have that already with their current ISP, as well as potentially better code and network configuration testing. A lot of this really just comes down to just speculation though, as the only thing Bungie has confirmed is that they are getting DDoS, but we're not aware of the systems they may or may not already have in place, as well as the scale of the attack compared to others they may have experienced in the past. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Cross, the solution is obvious. We just need dedicated servers. And per the Destiny Show's Twitter account, this really sparked that conversation with this tweet. Now, while dedicated servers would be nice, and don't get me wrong guys, I wish we had them, this still wouldn't fix the issue at hand. And here's why. When a DDoS attack occurs, it essentially is pointing pointed to stop all network traffic in or out from the entry point, usually an edge gateway or something similar. For those who don't know what an edge gateway is, it essentially acts as a network entry point for devices, in this case, Bungie's servers, to talk to cloud services. Now, when servers cannot connect to cloud services, that essentially means they can't talk to each other and ultimately will not be able to work properly. And from Bobby here, everything downstream to the server level would already be blocked from the top, meaning even with dedicated servers, the lights would be on, but no road to get to the house. Now again, fellas, we're all for dedicated servers, but unfortunately in this scenario, it still wouldn't fix the issue of a DDoS attack. Now, dedicated servers in general is still an investment that I feel like Bungie should make for Destiny. We see it happening for Marathon. But in this scenario, based on the limited information we have, all we can really do is speculate and experience what is happening with Destiny, which is that Destiny constantly keeps going offline. Now, for the folks that are actually DDoSing, let me just say this. Playing a bold game, man. Bungie's legal team is showing no mercy. They just slapped a lawsuit on a 17-year-old who threatened them with a $500,000 fine, on top of the many major lawsuits that Bungie has levied against multiple cheat makers, which, by the way, I'm all for. Take down all the cheat websites. But in those cheat settlements, the number that Bungie really boils down to is damages, right? What are the damages that these cheats inflicted on the game? And you can imagine how easily that number can be inflated. What I'm saying here, guys, is considering the amount of DDoSing that has occurred over the past week, and who knows how long this can continue, I would imagine that number value for the damages this past week are incredibly high. This isn't like running into a cheater in a game and they ruin your trials card. Yes, that sucks, but imagine running into them every single game, getting pushed out of the game, and then ultimately you stop playing Destiny because of the servers. So whoever it is actually doing these DDoS attacks, I believe once Bungie finds out who it is, the lawsuit amount on this will be staggering, far outweighing any amounts that we've seen from the cheat settlements, from the harassment settlements. This is going to be by far the biggest lawsuit. And I know there's like a small corner of the community that believes this is just all an act from Bungie, but just ask yourself, why would Bungie intentionally mess up their servers? That makes no sense. I don't even know how that conspiracy even gets started. David Halsler here literally retweeted things, who is a senior data reliability engineer at Bungie, stating, "I'm so glad we said this. There have been so many times over the years where I wish we could have said we were DDoS. I understand why we can't and generally shouldn't, but it's always frustrating to hear Destiny servers services suck when it's sometimes just a DDoS attack." Now, even though I am happy that Bungie is being transparent about this, ultimately, Bungie, you guys have to do whatever it takes to keep things like this from happening. And unfortunately, Bungie has a bad history of pretty much waiting until the wheels fall off before they actually start making major infrastructure changes. And the fact that this has actually been happening multiple times this year is crazy. We have had server issues all year long, on and off. Granted, this past week has been substantially worse, but the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that the higher-ups at Bungie needs to make sweeping, long-term infrastructure changes to Destiny 2 wherever possible. For the sake of Destiny, for the sake of future IPs, I love that they're going after people legally. That's great. But with the final shape literally right around the corner, you know, whoever it is that's doing these DDoS attacks, whether it's a single person or a group of individuals, nothing would make them happier than knocking Destiny 2 offline literally throughout the entire launch of Final Shape, which would be catastrophic. Now, shortly after we finish our research for this video, a news article released from VideoGamesChronicle.com stating a ransomware group claims to have breached all Sony systems. Now, the group has a post date of September 28th, where if nobody comes forward and purchases this data, although we're not sure what it includes at this time, the group claims to be a secure solution for addressing data security vulnerabilities within companies, and also to be operating in strict compliance with GDPR and data privacy laws. Sony has not commented on these claims yet, though, and we don't know whether this is related at all to the issues that Bungie is facing. We would have to assume not, since Sony and PlayStation's network seem fine at this time, and it's only Bungie's networking that's facing DDoSing concerns. Nonetheless, though, we still wanted to comment on this article that was posted in case new information comes to light in the coming days that may relate back back to Bungie. So again, I know not a lot of information on this, might not even be relevant at all, but since Sony owns Bungie now, these things may be related. So guys, that is my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.